welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Rainbow.
And it's day 2, part 2 of the versatile genius of Christian Bale. We've already learned a fair lot about his childhood, and it was a very interesting childhood.
Very.
He had parents with unusual careers, I think it's safe to say.
Dad was a pilot and mom performed in a circus.
Fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Much cooler than just flying an airplane with passengers.
Yeah.
He was flying like Top Gun.
Wow.
Yeah, and his mom?
Circus performer,
Circus performer.
Flying through the air probably.
I would like to know what she did.
Me too.
A circus performer could be a magician, a clown,
jumping through hoops,
juggler. There's a lot of different
breathing
jobs.
fire,
riding on the back of an elephant. Who knows? So of course he traveled a lot, young Christian Bale. We learned about that. Got his big break with a laundry commercial. Maybe that wasn't a big break.
The big break was the Empire of the Sun.
Big break, really big break, was being in a Steven Spielberg movie when he was still only 13 years old. He's basically been a movie star his whole life.
Yeah, seriously.
Which is kind of incredible. And you were talking yesterday about some of the physical changes that he goes through, right?
Yeah.
He's lost a lot of weight. He's gone down to like 100 pounds, which is what, 40, 50 kilograms?
Yeah.
Almost, it looked like he was dying in one film. And then there was another one I saw, I think it was called Vice, and he played Vice President Dick Cheney, who worked with George Bush.
Okay.
He got really big.
Wow.
He had almost no hair. He looked like a 65-year-old man who'd had 3 heart attacks, which is what Dick Cheney, the real person, had. He was not a healthy man. He was big. He was old. And he looked a little unwell, and Christian Bale looked exactly like him. In fact, so much like him, at the end of the movie, I had to look up the real Dick Cheney and go, okay, it's not the same person, because he looked so much like him in the way he talked and the way he moved. It was like you were watching a twin. It was absolutely amazing. So if you want to see something like that, get a Christian Bale movie. I think the only other person, maybe the great Robert De Niro, was also famous for getting really big and fat for one movie and then losing all that weight. It's very unhealthy.
Matthew McConaughey.
He's done it too.
Yeah.
That's true. It's a very unhealthy and dangerous
very unhealthy.
thing to
It's
do.
also mentally, physically, emotionally.
Doctors don't like it when actors do it, but when they do, they can really become a whole new person.
They transform.
And that's part of the versatile genius of these actors like Christian Bale. So let's find out all about it.
While Empire brought Bale into the public eye as a talented young actor, it wasn't until he featured in American Psycho in 2000 that he gained leading man status. His unsettling performance as a killer proved his impressive acting skills to audiences and producers alike. He began receiving offers for a broad selection of roles, but he chose to continue working on independent films, notably losing 29 kilograms for his role in 2004's The Machinist.
All right, so let's look at Christian Bale's career as it goes from a talented 13-year-old to the huge movie star he is today, like 35 years later. But of course, there's a lot of interesting stuff between then and now, so let's read about it.
Well, Empire, that's that movie we talked about before, Empire of the Sun. While Empire brought Bale into the public eye as a talented young actor, it wasn't until he featured in American Psycho in 2000 that he gained leading man status. So I guess that was his real big break.
Yeah, definitely. If you're a leading man in Hollywood, that means basically you're the star of the movie.
A-list.
You're the hero in the action film. You're the guy in the rom-com, of course, with the girl. But basically that kind of means you're the main star. You're the name that they put right at the top of the poster. And this must be because you're incredibly talented, or maybe just really handsome. But if you're talented, both. But if you're talented, that definitely helps, because that means you have a lot of talent. You have a lot of natural ability for some kind of skill or activity that you're doing. Of course, if you practice a lot, you will become more skillful, but talent is something that you're kind of born with. But of course, the really really best people have the talent, and then they also
work
practice a lot,
hard.
and then they become the best in their field. But talent, or being talented, will certainly give you a bit of a head start, a bit of an advantage. Let's talk about Luther. Oh, Luther. Luther is a talented singer who is known for his powerful voice. I can only imagine they're talking about the great Luther Vandross. Who's a great singer, the powerful voice, very talented. All right, back to the article. So we're talking about American Psycho, where he plays a kind of bad guy, but he's also the main character in the movie, and it's a scary one. I gotta warn you, you want to watch this with the lights on during the day. Don't watch it late
with
at
other
night.
People.
Yeah, with other people and maybe your parents around, because it's a pretty scary movie. As we read, his unsettling performance as a killer proved his impressive acting skills to audiences and producers alike. He was really good at playing a really terrible person.
Yeah.
Unsettling kind of makes you uncomfortable.
You're like,
right? He's a murderer in the movie, and he seems to be loving his job. And you're like, this is weird, and I don't like this guy, but I have to watch the performance because it's so powerful.
Yeah. Well, that kind of sounds like the Joker. It kind of reminds you of that feeling.
Yeah.
You're like so attracted to it, but it's so weird. That's an amazing performance. So here we have the word performance. A performance is something formal that you do in front of a lot of people. So for example, if you're an opera singer, then you sing in front of thousands of people. Of course, if you're an actor, you perform in front of the camera and the whole world watches you, and you can either have an Oscar-worthy performance, which means you get an Oscar, and then you can thank your parents because they raised you very well, and you can thank the directors. So a performance is something that you do in front of a big crowd, whether it's dancing, whether it's a form of art, a film. This is amazing, and you want everybody to enjoy and people clap for you. It's something formal in front of a lot of people that you show them how well you've done after a lot of practice. Everyone loved her performance as the main character's best friend. So maybe this was a theater show, but she wasn't the main character, but people just thought she was so great. Maybe she was super funny, and so performances can be amazing whether or not you're the main character, because if the audiences love it, then that means you have a great performance.
For sure, and most performers want to have the audience enjoy or even
need
love their performance, because the audience are the people watching, right?
Yeah.
If you're an actor, singer, dancer, whatever art you are performing on stage, you want the people watching, the audience, to enjoy it. So audience is usually reserved for the arts, but anything from watching them make a television show, to watching a movie in a theater, to watching a live performance, the people watching are the audience as a group. For example, audiences love that director's movies. Ang Lee? Spielberg.
Nolan.
Probably Spielberg. All right, let's get back to the article. It says, he began receiving offers for a broad selection of roles, but he chose to continue working on independent films, notably losing 29 kilograms for his role in 2004's The Machinist. So he wanted to do independent films. These are films with much less money, a much lower budget, but more control by the
Smaller
artists.
productions.
And you don't have a bunch of business people telling you what kind of movie to make. And so for one film, yeah, he lost 30 kilograms. He basically looks like a skeleton, like he's dying of hunger or something like that. And apparently he wanted to lose even more weight, to look even skinnier, and the director's like, no, you're gonna get sick, you might die. But he was dedicated to do it. That's the one where he was eating 1 apple a day for like 3 months.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
to do his performance. He's so dedicated. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back, and I'm gonna go have a snack because Christian Bale might be hungry.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。Christian Bale 年仅13岁就在《太阳帝国》这部电影当中担任主演，这位才华洋溢的年轻演员就因而受到瞩目。不过呢，是直到2000年，他主演了《美国杀人魔》才获得男主角的地位。他饰演的杀人凶手令人不安，就向大家证明了他的演技实力。那么接着呢，他就开始收到各种角色的邀约，可是他选择继续拍摄独立电影，尤其是2004年的《The Machinist》。 克里斯汀·贝尔之黑暗时刻》。他为了这部电影啊，瘦了将近30公斤哦。Mike 老师说，这一位演员瘦到只剩皮包骨，非常的敬业。这时候老师用到 skeleton， 我们拼一下 skeleton，skeleton 表示骨骼或是骨架。还有用到 dedication，dedication 可以表达对某事物的全心全意投入、奉献精神。它的相关词性是 dedicated， 它是形容是全心付出的或者是专注的。再看到单字 talented， 它是形容有天赋的或者是技艺高超的。然后看到 performance 这个字呢，它是名词，表示表演、演出或者是表现。那么 audience 则是指听众、观众，也可以指读者。好，那么文中它是用 leading man status。Leading man status 是指男主角的地位。那这时候 Rainbow 老师他就提到 A list。A 连字号 LIST， 这是指极具人气的一线的，就是我们俗称 A 咖的那种意思咯。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来学习 It wasn't until ... that ... 这表示直到什么什么才怎么样。好，那这个句型呢是使用分列句来强调 not until ... 我们就先来复习2个重点。第一个要复习的是分列句句型 It is 或是 It was 加上强调的部分，加 that 再加句子其他部分。那分列句呢，就是把原句要强调的部分摆在 It is 跟 that 之间，或是 It was 跟 that 之间，然后你把句子的其他部分摆在 that 之后。那第二个要复习的重点是 not until 表示直到...才怎么样，它后面是可以接名词或子句的。好，那么接着我们就用 not until 名词或子句用来当做分列句强调的部分，那句型就会变成 It is 或是 It was 加上 not until 名词或子句加上 that 再加句子的其他部分。举例来说I didn't hear about their breakup until yesterday。我们现在把 not until yesterday 拉出来，摆在 it was 和 that 之间，然后呢，它就会变成 It wasn't until yesterday that I heard about their breakup。直到昨天我才听说他们分手的事。好，接回到课文中。
Bale's days as a starving artist ended when he agreed to play the title character in 2005's Batman Begins. To play Batman, Bale gained 45 kilograms in just 6 months. By the time he hung up his cape in 2012, his 3 Batman movies had made over $2.4 billion in total, and Bale had officially become an international movie star. Last July, Bale again stepped into the world of comic book movies in Thor: Love and Thunder. This time, however, he played the villain, once more displaying his wide range as an actor. Whatever projects are up next for Bale, one thing is clear: his fans can always expect his best effort.
All right, we are back to learn more about Christian Bale. Last we left him, he was starring in independent films like The Machinist.
He was starving.
He was starving.
Literally.
It's a good movie. It's a weird movie. It's a very kind of dark, strange movie. But just to see him look like that is almost worth watching the film. But of course, things changed, and he ended up being in much different, very different types of movies, and some of them where he got very big.
No longer starving.
Very skinny, exactly.
Bale's days as a starving artist ended when he agreed to play the title character in 2005's Batman Begins. Okay, so here it's a play on words because before he was starving for the previous movie. But when we normally talk about a starving artist, it means that you love your art, but your art doesn't make you a lot of money, so you're kind of hungry. But in this case, it wasn't because he wasn't making money. It was because he was playing a role. And then, of course, we come to the Batman series. Okay, so here we have the phrase title character. This is very interesting because usually title is a noun, but in this case, title is used as an adjective to describe the word character. Now, before we talked about leading man, so a title character is kind of the same. It means you are the beginning of the movie, you're the most important person in the movie. So title character is that main character or lead character. Of course, the adjective title can be used to describe other great things like songs. I have a sentence for you. After the interview, the radio station played the title song from the artist's hit album, Rich and Rude.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that album, Rich and Rude, if the title of the album, if the name of the album is Rich and Rude, the title song will also be called
Rich and Rude.
Yeah, so Harry Potter, of course, is the title character of the Harry Potter movies, but Ron and Hermione, they're very important, but they're not the title characters because it's not Ron Weasley and the Philosopher's Stone. It's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Character.
Just like it's not Robin's return, it's Batman's return, because Batman is the main character, the title character as well. And what did he do? Remember, he was really skinny for this movie just before.
And then right after,
Batman's not really skinny. No.
He's super buff. He's huge.
Exactly right. So to play Batman, Bale gained 45 kilograms. In just 6 months.
Wow, can you imagine what you would be eating? But you can't be eating pizza because you have to work out too.
Yeah, he'd be working out.
Proteins every day.
He'd be eating like a
8 steaks.
Well, yeah, like an Olympic athlete.
Seriously.
Like The Rock. He's eating and exercising at the same time.
Yeah. All day long for 8 hours every day.
There you go. That, of course, takes a lot of hard work, dedication, mental willpower.
It's strain on the body,
and also,
too.
it would be hard on your body. But he did this, of course, very successfully for 3 movies, right? Those Batman movies, they went on for 3 of them with Christian Bale. So then we read, by the time he hung up his cape in 2012, or sort of retired from the Batman movies, right? He hung up his cape. His 3 Batman movies had made over $2.4 billion in total, a lot of money. And Bale had officially become an international movie star.
Even we know about him after that.
Oh, for sure. He was already kind of a movie star before that, but when you're in a popular superhero movie with a much bigger audience, now people really know your name. So that was definitely his crowning as a big name Hollywood star. And he's kept it going.
Last July, Bale again stepped into the world of comic book movies in Thor, Love and Thunder. So he stayed away from those big movies, but then he came back to Thor. This time, however, he played the villain, which is the bad guy, once more displaying his wide range as an actor. Well, I'm not surprised. He always plays those kind of villain-ish roles, or even the hero sounds kind of like a villain sometimes in the roles that he plays.
And I think good actors like to change it up,
yeah,
right?
They do.
They don't always like to be the good guy.
Get bored.
Being the bad guy can actually be a lot more interesting. So this is one of his newer films. Of course, he made many films in between Batman and the new Thor, but whatever projects are up next for Bale, one thing is clear. His fans can always expect his best effort.
And a surprise.
That's a very good point. You can always depend on Christian Bale to really perform with 100% of his passion and energy. He won't just sort of pretend to care. He always does his best performance. He displays this in film after film. To display something is basically to show it so that other people notice it, they'll see it, and they will say, yes, that is something. I saw that. That is a real thing because it happened right in front of me. For example, the man displayed great courage when he entered the burning building to save the baby inside.
He showed courage.
He showed courage, right? Other people might not have displayed courage. They might have run away or, called the fire department, but he showed courage very publicly by doing this brave act, saving that kid. Here's our what do you think question.
Do you know of anyone else with a similar personality to Christian Bale? So maybe in the way that they love to have adventure, they love to challenge themselves, they love to travel, they love to be a different person all the time. Describe them.
Interesting. Someone I know who has a similar personality to Christian Bale is a friend of mine, a good friend of mine in Canada. He's a very passionate guy. We used to play music together. Sometimes we'd get in arguments, but always worked out because we always cared about what we were doing.
Very strong personality.
And if you're working with people like that, it might not always go smoothly, but they won't just walk away because they don't care anymore. It's all about the passion they bring to their performance.
Wow, that's amazing. So I hope that you've enjoyed learning about Christian Bale as much as we have, and you got to go back and watch some of his movies if you haven't seen them. So we will see you next time, and until then, bye.
Bye-bye.
Christian Bale 他同意演出2005年的蝙蝠侠开战时刻这个片名角色。那他为了演出蝙蝠侠呢，在6个月内增重45公斤哎。那到了2012年，他收起了斗篷，不再饰演蝙蝠侠。他那3部蝙蝠侠的电影啊，一共赚了超过24亿元美金。他也正式成为了国际电影巨星。好，单字 title 在这边是当形容词哦，用来形容跟片名或是跟标题是同名的。所以我们说 title character 或者是 title role 就是表达剧名角色，跟剧名一样名字的角色。Rainbow 老师刚刚说到蝙蝠侠应该是要身形壮硕，那老师用到 buff。buff 可以形容是体型健美的，或者是身材精壮的。课文最后写到说呢 ，Christian Bale 在去年的《雷神索尔：爱与雷霆》当中饰演反派，再次展现了他广泛的戏路。无论他接下来有什么拍摄计划，有一件事是很清楚的，就是他的影迷啊总是可以去期待他最棒的成就。好，那么 display 这个动词呢，就是表达展现、展示的意思。那这边2个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，来看第一个重点是 by the time 表示到点点点的时候，在什么什么之前，用来引导时间副词子句。那么它的主要子句呢，可以用简单式或者是用完成式来强调动作已经完成。我们看2个例句 ：By the time we got there.There were no seats left. 我们到的时候已经没有空位了。这时候主要子句 There were no seats left 这边是用过去简单式来表达。By the time we got there, the game had already started. 我们到的时候，比赛已经开始了。那这时候主要子句我们说 had already started， 这边是用过去完成式表达。下一个重点是 whatever 可以用来引导副词子句去表达无论什么点点点，不管什么点点点，就相当于 no matter what。举例来说 ，whatever he says, don't believe him。你也可以说 no matter what he says, don't believe him。无论他说什么，都不要相信他。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
While Empire brought Bale into the public eye as a talented young actor, it wasn't until he featured in American Psycho in 2000 that he gained leading man status. His unsettling performance as a killer proved his impressive acting skills to audiences and producers alike. He began receiving offers for a broad selection of roles, but he chose to continue working on independent films, notably losing 29 kilograms for his role in 2004's The Machinist. Bale's days as a starving artist ended when he agreed to play the title character in 2005's Batman Begins. To play Batman, Bale gained 45 kilograms in just 6 months. By the time he hung up his cape in 2012, his 3 Batman movies had made over $2.4 billion in total, and Bale had officially become an international movie star. Last July, Bale again stepped into the world of comic book movies in Thor: Love and Thunder. This time, however, he played the villain, once more displaying his wide range as an actor. Whatever projects are up next for Bale, one thing is clear: his fans can always expect his best effort.
下一站，哈马星站。
The Kaohsiung Circular Light Rail Transit is a mobile landmark of the city. Its purpose is to improve the public transportation in downtown, with 36 stations on its 22.1-kilometer route. The Circular Light Rail is the first cable-free light rail system in the world. The trams are recharged very fast wirelessly when they stop at the stations. Since its operation, the waterfront route has been popular with the tourists. It runs along the Asia New Bay area, a major construction project of Kaohsiung. The attractions on the route include the Pier 2 Art Center, Kaohsiung Music Center, Love Pier, Kaohsiung Exhibition Center, Kaohsiung Main Public Library, Dream Mall, and more. The circular light rail stimulates Kaohsiung's local tourism and development.